I never thought I'd find myself here, wandering the streets of Raleigh at midnight, calling out for a dog, but life has a way of throwing curveballs. Doesn't it 3 years a widow, and here I am, Eloise Bennett, once the toast of high society, now just a lonely woman in a too-big house with only a golden retriever for company. Well, until tonight, Max Max, where are you, my voice? Echoes off the perfectly manicured lawns of my neighborhood. The storm that sent Max bolting has passed, leaving behind a humid stillness that clings to my skin. I'm sure I look a fright, my blonde hair plastered to my forehead. Mascara probably running down my cheeks. What would the country club set think if they could see me? Now a flash of movement catches my eye, and for a moment I think it's Max. But no, it's just a figure emerging from the shadows of the Johnsons' estate next door as she steps into the glow of a street lamp. I'm struck by her presence, all lean muscle and purpose, her brunette ponytail swinging. As she approaches, everything okay? She calls out, her voice tinged with concern. I hesitate for a moment, years of social conditioning making me wary of strangers, but there's something in her green eyes that puts me at ease. I've lost my dog, I admit. Hating how my voice cracks, he got spooked by the storm and took off. She nods, understanding immediately. I'm Zoe, she says, extending a hand. I was just finishing up some landscape designs next door. Want some help looking? I take her hand, surprised by the strength in her grip. Eloise, I reply, and yes, please, I'm at my wit's end here for the next hour. Zoe and I comb the neighborhood, calling for Max. She moves with the efficiency of someone used to searches, and I find myself wondering about her story. As we round a corner, she suddenly stops, holding up a hand for silence. Then I hear it, a faint whimper coming from a dense patch of A-list Max. I cry out, rushing forward. My beloved golden retriever emerges muddy and sheepish, but unharmed. I wrap my arms around him, not caring about the mess he's making of my clothes. When I look up, Zoe's watching us with a soft smile. Thank you, I say, meaning it more than she could know. No problem, she replies, then hesitates. Look, I don't mean to overstep, but I couldn't help noticing your garden when we passed by earlier. It looks like it could use some love. If you're interested, I'd be happy to take a look. I should say no. I should politely decline and retreat back to my lonely mansion, but something about this woman, her kindness, her competence, makes me want to say, yes, so I do. That would be wonderful. I hear myself saying, why don't you come by tomorrow afternoon? We can discuss it over tea. As I watch Zoe walk away, I feel something I haven't felt in years, a flutter of possibility. Maybe, just maybe, this chance encounter could be the beginning of something new. Little did I know how right I was, or how much my life was about to change. The next afternoon, I find myself fussing over tea settings like it's a state dinner. It's just a business meeting. I tell myself, ignoring the flutter in my stomach when the doorbell rings. I nearly jump out of my skin. Zoe stands on my doorstep, looking impossibly put together in jeans and a simple white tee. Her hair is loose today, falling in waves around her shoulders. Hey there, she says with an easy smile, ready to talk plants. I lead her through the house, watching her take in the high ceilings and antique furniture with raised eyebrows. Quite a place you've got here, she comments. It feels more like a mausoleum most days. I admit, surprising myself with my honesty. Her green eyes soften with understanding. Well, let's see if we can breathe some life into it, starting with the garden. We step out onto the terrace, and I see my once beautiful garden through Zoe's eyes, overgrown, neglected, a shadow of its former glory. She walks the paths, touching leaves and testing soil with expert hands. So she says, finally turning to me, what's your vision for this space? I blink, realizing I haven't given it any thought. I'm not sure. What do you think? Zoe's face lights up, and suddenly she's painting a picture with words of wildflower meadows and hidden nooks of water features and cozy seating areas. We could even put in a vegetable patch, she suggests. Nothing beats cooking with homegrown produce. You cook? I ask, intrigued. She grins, among other things. I'm a woman of many talents. We settle on the terrace with our tea, and before I know what hours have passed. Zoe tells me about her work in search and rescue, her love of extreme sports, her dreams of starting her own landscaping business. In return, I find myself opening up about my marriage, my loneliness, my struggle to find purpose. Zoe says thoughtfully, I have a feeling there's an adventure hiding inside you. Eloise, you just need the right opportunity to let her out. I laugh, but there's a part of me that thrills at her words. I doubt I'd be much use dangling off a cliff face. Never say never, she winks. Tell you what, why don't you come to the climbing gym with me? Sometime, no pressure, just to watch. You might surprise yourself. I should say no. It's ridiculous, a woman my age taking up rock climbing, but there's something in Zoe's smile, a challenge, an invitation that makes me want to say yes. So I do as the sun begins to set, casting long shadows across the neglected garden. I realize I don't want her to leave. Would you like to stay for dinner? I blurt out. I make a mean pasta primavera. Zoe's smile widens. I thought you'd never ask in the kitchen. We fall into an easy rhythm, chopping vegetables and stirring sauce. Our hands brush as we reach for utensils, and each time I feel a little jolt of something I haven't felt in a very long time over dinner. The conversation flows as freely as the wine. Zoe regales me with stories of her adventures, and I find myself laughing more than I have in years as she describes so particularly harrowing climb. I'm struck by the passion in her eyes, the way her whole face lights up. You really love it, don't you? I ask softly. She nods, her expression turning serious. It's more than just a thrill. When I'm out there pushing my limits, I feel alive, truly, completely alive. Don't you have something like that? I start to shake my head, but then I pause, thinking of the rush I used to get from hosting elaborate parties for my charity work. I admit, I guess I've lost touch with that part of myself. Zoe reaches across the table, her hand covering mine, while she says, her touch sending warmth spreading through my body. Maybe it's time to find it again. As I walk her to the door later that night, I feel a sense of possibility I haven't experienced in years. Thank you, I say, meaning it for more than just the garden advice. Zoe's smile is soft in the porch, light anytime. Eloise, I'll see you at the climbing gym. I nod, surprising myself. It's sedate. As I watch her drive away, I realize that for the first time in 3 years, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. The climbing gym looms before me, a concrete monolith that seems to mock my designer outfit and carefully applied makeup. What am I doing here? I'm about to turn tail and run when I spot Zoe jogging towards me, all toned legs, and easy grace. You made it. She grins, pulling me into a quick hug. The scent of her shampoo, something fresh and sitwai, lingers in my nose, ready to conquer some walls. I laugh nervously. I think I'll leave. But conquering to you, I'm just here to watch. Remember, Zoe's eyes twinkle mischievously. We'll see about that. Inside the gym is a riot of color and movement, bodies twist and stretch on walls dotted with holds in every shade of the rainbow. The energy is palpable, and despite myself, I feel a thrill of excitement. Zoe guides me through the basics, explaining techniques and safety measures. Her hands are sure and strong as she demonstrates how to tie knots and clip carabiners when she reaches around me to adjust my harness. I catch my breath at her closeness. Want to give it a try? She asks, gesturing to a beginner's wall. I hesitate, but something in her encouraging smile makes me nod. Why not? The first few feet are terrifying. My hands shake, and I'm certain I'll fall, but Zoe is there, calling out encouragement and advice. You've got this. Eloise, trust your feet slowly. I begin to find a rhythm as I reach for each new hold. I feel a surge of accomplishment by the time I reach the top. I'm grinning. Like a fool, I did it. I call down to Zoe, who's beaming up at me. I knew you could. She replies, how does it feel? As I rappel down, I search for words. Exhilarating, I finally say, like I've woken up from a long sleep. Zoe's smile is soft and knowing. Welcome back to the land of the living, Eloise. Over the next few weeks, a routine develops. Zoe works on my garden by day, transforming it from a tangled mess into something truly beautiful. In the evenings, we hit the climbing gym or go for hikes in the nearby state park. With each passing day, I feel more alive, more like myself, or perhaps a new version of myself I never knew existed. One evening, as we sit in my newly landscaped garden, sharing a bottle of wine and watching the sunset, Zoe turns to me with an excited gleam in her eye. "I've got a proposition for you." She says my extreme sports team is looking for a new member. "For an upcoming competition, how would you feel about joining us?" I nearly choke on my windme, Zoe. "I've only been climbing for a few weeks." She laughs, the sound warm and rich in the twilight. "The competition isn't for months. We'd have plenty of time to train." "Come on, Eloise, where's that adventure I know is hiding inside you?" I should say no, it's crazy. Completely out of character for me, but as I look at Zoe, her face alight with enthusiasm, I feel that familiar flutter in my stomach. "Okay," I hear myself say. I'm in. Zoe's answering smile is radiant. She leans in, pressing a quick kiss to my cheek. "You won't regret it," she promises as she pulls back. Our eyes lock. There's a moment of charged silence, the air between us thick with unspoken things. I find myself leaning in, drawn by some invisible force. The moment is shattered by the shrill ring of my phone. I jump flustered and fumble to answer it. It's my sister-in-law, her voice sharp with disapproval. "Eloise, darling, we simply must talk. I've been hearing the most disturbing rumors about you and that garter I feel the blood drain from." My face. "Margaret, I know excuses, dear. We're having lunch tomorrow at the club. Don't be late." She hangs up before I can respond. I turn back to Zoe, who's watching me with concern. "Everything okay?" she asks. I force a smile, trying to recapture the magic of the moment before. "Just family drama, nothing to worry about." But as I look at Zoe, her presence both thrilling and comforting, I can't help but wonder, what am I getting myself into? And more importantly, am I ready for where this path might lead? As if reading my thoughts, Zoe reaches out and takes my hand. "Whatever it is," she says softly, "we'll face it together." In that moment with the garden Zoe created blooming around us and the promise of adventure ahead, I allow myself to believe her. Whatever comes next, I know one thing for certain: I'm not going back to the person I was before. That Eloise is gone, and in her place is someone new, someone brave, someone alive, someone who just might be falling in love. The country club looms before me, a bastion of old money and even older attitudes. I smooth down my Chanel dress, a armor of propriety I haven't worn in months. As I step inside, the familiar scent of overpriced perfume and judgment washes over me. Margaret waves from our usual table, her smile sharp as a scalpel. "Eloise, darling," she says, air kissing my cheeks. "We've been so worried about you." I settle into my seat, steeling myself. "There's no need to worry, Margaret. I'm doing quite well." Actually, her eyes narrow. "So I've heard gallivanting around town with that landscaper. Really, Eloise? What would Charles think?" The mention of my late husband stings, but not as much as it once did. "Charles would want me to be happy," I say firmly. Margaret's laugh is brittle. "Happy, darling, you're making a spectacle of yourself. The board is talking about revoking your membership." I feel a flash of anger, surprising in its intensity. "Let them," I hear myself say. "I have better things to do with my time." I stand feeling lighter than I have in years. "Goodbye, Margaret. Enjoy your lunch." As I stride out of the club, I pull out my phone and dial Zoe. "Hey," I say when she answers. "Want to go climbing an hour later?" I'm scaling a challenging route at the gym, sweat dampening my hair and a grin splitting my face. Zoe cheers me on from below, her encouragement pushing me to reach for holds I would have deemed impossible just weeks ago. As I rappel down, flushed with victories, Zoe catches me in a tight hug. "You were amazing up there," she says, her breath warm against my ear. I pull back slightly, suddenly aware of how close we are. Zoe's eyes flick down to my lips, then back up. The air between us crackles with tension. "Eloise," she murmurs, her voice husky. "I hate lovebirds." A booming voice breaks the moment. We spring apart as Jake, one of our teammates, bounds over ready for some serious training. The competition's only 2 months away over the next few weeks. Our training intensifies. We spend long days scaling cliffs, running obstacle courses, and pushing our bodies to the limit. It's exhausting, exhilarating work, and I find myself loving every minute of it, but it's the quiet moments I cherish most. Stolen glances during water breaks the brush of Zoe's hand against mine as we review route map slot. Night strategy sessions that somehow always end with us talking about everything but the competition. One evening, after a particularly grueling day of training, the team decides to cool off with a nighttime swim at a nearby lake. As I watch Zoe emerge from the water, moonlight glistening on her skin, I'm struck by how beautiful she is and how much I want her. She catches me staring and smiles, a slow, knowing curve of her lips that sends heat pooling in my belly. She makes her way over to where I'm sitting on the shore, not joining us. She asks, dropping down beside me. I shake my head, just enjoying the view. I say, surprising myself with my boldness. Those eyes darken. She leans in, her lips barely brushing my ear. The view's pretty nice. From here, too, a shout from the lake breaks the moment. Jake is waving us over, brandishing a bottle of whiskey. Come on, you two, time for some team bonding. We join the others, and soon the night is filled with laughter and increasingly outrageous stories. As the whiskey flows, I find myself relaxing, feeling part of this mismatched group of adrenaline junkies. It's nearly dawn when we finally call it a night. Zoe offers to drive me home, and I accept, my skin tingling with anticipation. The ride is silent, charged with unspoken tension. When we pull up to my house, neither of us moves to get out. Eloise, Zoe says, softly turning to face me. I don't let her finish. In a moment of liquid courage, I lean across the console and press my lips to hers for a heartbeat. She's still. Then, with a low groan, she's kissing me back, her hands tingling in my hair as she pulls me closer. It's everything I've imagined and more: passionate, tender, electric. When we finally part, both breathless, Zoe rests her forehead against mine. I've been wanting to do that for weeks, she admits. I laugh, giddy with happiness. Why didn't you? She pulls back slightly, her expression serious. I didn't want you to think this was just, you're not just, I know, I say, understanding what she can't quite articulate. You're not just anything to me either. Zoe, her answering smile is brilliant. She leans in for another kiss, this one softer, full of promise. When we part, I'm tempted to invite her in, but we're both exhausted. And I want to savor this moment, this new beginning. Good night, Zoe, I say, pressing one last kiss to her lips before climbing out of the car. Good night, Eloise, she replies, her voice warm with affection. Sweet dreams. As I watch her drive away, I touch my fingers to my lips, still tingling from her kisses. For the first time in years, I feel truly, vibrantly alive, whatever challenges tomorrow may bring. Disapproving family, judgmental social circles, the looming competition. I know I can face them, because now I'm not facing them alone. The weeks following that night at the lake pass in a whirlwind of training and stolen moments with Zoe. Each day brings new challenges, both physical and emotional, as we prepare for the competition and navigate our budding relationship. One afternoon, as we're reviewing topographical maps in my study, the doorbell rings. I open it to find Margaret, her face set in grim lines. We need to talk, she says, brushing past me into the house. I follow her, sinking in the study. Zoe looks up, her smile fading as she takes in Margaret's expression. I'll give you two some privacy, Zoe says, moving to leave. No. Margaret snaps, you should hear this too. She turns to me, eyes flashing. Eloise, this has gone on long enough. Your Dallin is becoming the talk of the town. If you don't end it now, I'll have no choice but to contest. Charles's will. The room goes still. I feel as if all the air has been sucked out of it. You can't be serious. I manage. Margaret's smile is cold. Oh, I assure you, I and Charles never intended his fortune to be squandered on some midlife crisis. Either you come to your senses or I'll see you in court with that. She turns on her heel and leaves, the echo of the slamming door ringing in the silence. She leaves behind. I sink into a chair, my legs suddenly unable to support me. Zoe is at my side in an instant, her hand warm on my shoulder. Eloise, She says softly, "I'm so sorry. I never meant to cause you trouble." I look up at her, seeing the guilt in her eyes, and something in me snaps. "No," I say, firmly standing, "you have nothing to be sorry for. Margaret has no right to dictate my life." Zoe's smile is tentative but warm. "So what do you want to do?" I take a deep breath. "I want to live my life, Zoe, with you. If you'll have me." Her answer comes in the form of a kiss, deep and passionate, that leaves us both breathless. The next few days are a flurry of activity as I contact my lawyers and prepare for the legal battle ahead, but even as stress mounts, Zoe is my rock, her steady presence AB. Balm to my frayed nerves one evening as we're curled up on the couch. After a long day of training, Zoe's phone rings. Her face falls as she listens to the caller. "Everything okay?" I ask when she hangs up. She shakes her head, looking troubled. "It's my mom. She's in town and wants to meet up." I squeeze her hand encouragingly. "That's good, isn't it?" Zoe's laugh is hollow. "Not exactly. We don't have the best relationship. She never approved of my lifestyle choices." I feel a pang of empathy, thinking of my own family's reactions. "Do you want me to come with you?" She looks at me, surprise and gratitude wearing in her expression. "You do that?" "Of course," I say, kissing her softly. "We're in this together." Remember, the next day finds us at a small cafe downtown, waiting nervously for Zoe's mother to arrive. When she does, I'm struck by how little she resembles Zoe, where Zoe is all warmth and easy grace. Her mother is sharp angles and cool appraisal. "Zoe," she says, her voice clipped, "and this must be your friend, girlfriend." Zoe corrects, taking my hand. "Mom, this is Eloise." The conversation that follows is tense and stilted, filled with barbed comments and veiled disapproval. I watch Zoe grow more withdrawn with each passing minute, and my heart aches for her, finally unable to bear it any longer. I speak up. "Mrs. Robinson." I say, my voice firm, "I understand you may not approve of our relationship, but Zoe is an incredible woman. She's strong, kind, and has taught me more about living life to the fullest than anyone I've ever known. If you can't see that, it's your loss the table." Falls silent. Zoe's mother stares at me, shock evident on her face. Then, to my surprise, her expression softens slightly. "Well," she says, a hint of grudging respect in her tone, "at least you found someone who'd stand up for you, Zoe. It's not acceptance, not by a long shot, but it's a start." As we leave the cafe, Zoe pulls me into a fierce hug. "Thank you," she whispers against my neck. No one's ever done that for me before. That night, as a storm rages outside, we find solace in each other's arms in the greenhouse, surrounded by the new life we've cultivated together. We make love for the first time. It's tender and passionate, a coming together of bodies and souls that leaves us both trembling afterwards as we lie tangled together, listening to the rain. I feel a sense of peace I've never known before, whatever challenges we face, disapproving families, legal battles, the looming competition. I know we can weather them together. "I love you," I whisper into the darkness, the words slipping out before I can stop them. Zoe's arms tighten around me. "I love you too," she replies, her voice thick with emotion. As we drift off to sleep, the storm outside fades to a gentle patter, as if nature itself is acknowledging the calm we found in each other's embrace. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, but for now, in this moment, everything is perfect. The morning sun fell through the greenhouse glass, casting dappled shadows across Zoe's sleeping face. I trace her features with my eyes, marveling at how much has changed in such a short time. A year ago, I was a lonely widow trapped in a gilded cage of societal expectations. Now I'm in love, training for an extreme sports competition, and about to face the biggest challenge of my life, as if sensing my thoughts. Zoe stirs her green eyes, blinking open. "Morning, beautiful," she murmurs, pulling me close for a kiss. We linger in our bubble of happiness for as long as we can, but reality soon intrudes. Today is the annual charity gala at the country club, an event I've attended for years, but never quite like this. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Zoe asks as we dress. We could skip it, head to the climbing gym. Instead, I shake my head, stealing my resolve. "No, It's time to face the music. Besides, I add with a smirk. I can't wait to see their faces when I walk in with you on my arm. Zoe's answering grin is both wicked and loving. Let's give him something to talk about. Then the country club is a sea of designer dresses and polite smiles. When we arrive, conversations falter as we make our entrance. Zoe, resplendent in a tailored suit that accentuates her athletic build. I feel a surge of pride as I take in the admiring and envious glances thrown our way. Margaret spots us first, her face paling. She hurries over, hissing under her breath. Eloise, what do you think you're doing? I meet her gaze steadily. Living my life, Margaret. You should try it sometime. Before she can respond, we're swept into the crowd. To my surprise, not everyone is as disapproving as I'd feared. My old friend Helen embraces us warmly, and even stuffy old Mr. Jameson offers a grudging congratulations. As we make our rounds, I overhear snippets of conversation. Did you hear Eloise Bennett is competing in that extreme sports event? I always thought she seemed too vibrant for Charles. They do make a striking couple, don't they? It's not all positive, of course. There are plenty of raised eyebrows and whispered judgments. But with Zoe by my side, her hand a comforting presence at the small of my back, I find I don't care nearly as much as I once would have. The real drama unfolds during the charity auction. I'm in the middle of bidding on a weekend getaway package when Margaret takes the stage, tapping the microphone for attention. Ladies and gentlemen, she begins, her voice sickly sweet. I have an announcement to make. It seems our dear Eloise has decided to broaden her horizons. The way she says it drips within window, while we all applaud her newfound vigor. I feel it's my duty to inform you that steps are being taken to ensure Charles's legacy is protected from any rash decisions. A hush falls over the crowd. I feel Zoe tense beside me, ready to leap to my defense, but this is my battle to fight. I stand, my voice ringing out clear and strong. Is that what you call living, Margaret? Protecting a legacy? Charles's true legacy was his belief in love and happiness. He'd be ashamed to see you using his name to spread hate and judgment. I turn to address the crowd, my heart pounding, but my resolve firm. Yes, I've fallen in love. Yes, it's with a woman. And yes, I'm competing in an extreme sports event. I'm truly living for the first time in years. If any of you have a problem with that, I suggest you take a long, hard look at your own lives and ask yourselves if you can say the same for a moment. There's silence. Then, to my amazement, applause breaks out. It starts with Helen and spreads until most of the room is clapping. I see grudging respect in some faces, outright support in others. Margaret stands on the stage, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. As the applause dies down, Zoe pulls me into a kiss that leaves no doubt about our relationship. When we part, she whispers, I'm so damn proud of you. The rest of the evening passes in a blur. People approach us, some to offer congratulations, others to ask about the competition. By the time we leave, I feel drained, but exhilarated. Well, Zoe says as we drive home, I'd say that was a success. I laugh, the sound tinged with disbelief and joy. I can't believe I did that. Zoe reaches over, squeezing my hand. I can. You're the bravest person I know. Eloise, as we pull up to the house, I see a figure waiting on the porch. My heart sinks as I recognize Margaret. Round two, Zoe asks, her tone protective. I take a deep breath, squaring my shoulders. Looks like it, but I'm ready. We approach Margaret together, hand in hand. To my surprise, she looks deflated. Eloise, she begins, her voice lacking its usual sharpness. I owe you an apology. I blink. Stunned, you do? She nods, looking uncomfortable. What you said tonight, it made me realize Charles would be horrified by my behavior. He always said you were the best thing that ever happened to him. I guess I was jealous of your happiness then, and your happiness now. I feel tears prick my eyes. Oh, Margaret, she holds up a hand. I'm not saying I understand this. She gestures between Zoe and me, but I'm willing to try, and I'll be dropping the legal proceedings. Of course, relief washes over me. I step forward, pulling Margaret into a hug. After a moment's hesitation, she hugs me back. As Margaret drives away, I turn to Zoe, feeling lighter than I have in months. Well, I say that was unexpected. Zoe grins, pulling me close. Just another day in the adventurous life of Eloise Bennett. Now, how about we go practice some rope, work her eyebrow, waggle leaves, no doubt about her intentions laughing. I let her lead me inside. As the door closes behind us, I can't help but feel that the real adventure is just beginning. The morning of the competition, dawn clear and crisp, a perfect autumn day in Raleigh. I stand at the edge of the starting line, heart pounding, adrenaline coursing through my veins beside me. Zoe stretches her face, a mask of concentration. Ready for this? She asks, flashing me a quick smile. I nod, surprising myself with how true it is. Born ready. The past few months have been a whirlwind of training, legal battles, and personal growth. There were moments when I thought we wouldn't make it either to the competition or as a couple, but here we are, stronger than ever, about to face our biggest challenge. Yet the announcer's voice booms over the loudspeaker, explaining the course. It's a grueling multi-stage event: rock climbing, obstacle courses, orienteering, and finally, a team challenge that remains a mystery. My palms sweat as I listen, but I feel a thrill of excitement too as we line up. I catch sight of a familiar face in the crowd. Margaret stands near the front, looking uncomfortable but determined. When she sees me looking, she gives a small wave and a thumbs up. I smile. Back touched by her effort, the starting gun fires, and we're off. The first stage is a brutal uphill run that leaves my lungs burning, but the months of training pay off. I keep pace with the group. Zoe is steady, presence at my side. We hit the rock climbing section next. As I scale the sheer face muscles straining, I flash back to that first day at the climbing gym, how far I've come since then, both physically and emotionally. I reached the top in good time, exchanging a triumphant high five with Zoe before we rappel down the obstacle course. Is a nightmare of mud ropes and precarious balance beams. I slip once, skinning my knee, but Zoe's there in an instant, helping me up. You've got this, she says, her faith in me unwavering. I guard my teeth and push on. By the time we reach the orienteering section, I'm exhausted, but as Zoe and I work together to navigate the checkpoints, I find a second win. There's something incredibly satisfying about putting our teamwork to the test, about the way we anticipate each other's thoughts and movements. Finally, we reach the team challenge. The announcer reveals it's a complex puzzle that requires both physical strength and mental acuity to solve. As we work, I'm struck by how in sync Zoe and I have become. We move around each other, effortlessly communicating with just a look or a touch. The final piece clicks into place and we sprint for the finish line. We cross it hand in hand, collapsing onto the ground in a tangle of limbs and laughter. We did it. I gasp, hardly able to believe it. Zoe grins, pulling me in for a kiss that tastes of sweat and victory. Was there ever any doubt as we wait for the results? I'm surprised to find that I don't really care where we place. The real victory was in the journey and pushing myself beyond limits I never thought I could surpass. When the announcer calls our team name for third place, the cheer that goes up is deafening. I spot Helen in the crowd, jumping up and down like a schoolgirl even. Margaret is clapping, a genuine smile on her face. We make our way to the podium, legs shaky but spirits high as the bronze medals are placed around our necks. I feel a surge of emotion so strong it nearly knocks me off my feet. Pride, joy, love, they all swirl together in a heady mix. I turn to Zoe, words failing me, but she understands as she always does. She pulls me close, and right there on the podium in front of God and everyone, she kisses me. The crowd's reaction is immediate and overwhelming. There are cheers, a few gasps, and more than a few wolf whistles, but in that moment, the world narrows to just Zoe and me. When we part, both a little breathless, I see a mix of love and mischief in Zoe's eyes, so she says, pitching her voice to carry same time next year. The crowd laughs, and I find myself nodding, absolutely. I reply loud enough for everyone to hear, but next time we're going for gold. As we make our way off the podium, we're swarmed by well-wishers. Helen hugs us both, babbling about how she never doubted us for a second. My old Gardener Tom shakes our hands vigorously, proudly proclaiming, "He always knew I had it in me even." Margaret approaches looking slightly shell-shocked. Well, she says, a hint of her old sharp creeping in, I suppose. I can't argue with results. Congratulations, both of you, as the excitement dies down and people begin to disperse. Zoe and I find a quiet moment alone. We're grimy, exhausted, and probably in need of several ice baths, but I don't think I've ever been happier, thank you, I say softly, leaning into her. Zoe raises an eyebrow. For what? For everything, for pushing me out of my comfort zone, for believing in me, for loving me. Her smile is soft, her eyes shining with emotion. Loving you is the easiest thing I've ever done, Eloise. Everything else, that was all you. You're incredible. You know that I laugh, feeling a blush creep up my cheeks. We're incredible, I correct her, together as we walk hand in hand towards the future. I can't help but marvel at the journey that brought us here, from lonely widow to bronze medalist, from societal expectations to true freedom. It's been a wild ride. But with Zoe by my side, I know the best is yet to come. The setting sun paints the sky in shades of pink and gold. A fitting end to a perfect day, and as Zoe pulls me in for another kiss, I know that this is just the beginning of our greatest adventure. Yet a year has passed since that fateful competition, and life has settled into a new rhythm. Zoe and I stand in the newly renovated greenhouse, surrounded by lush greenery and the soft hum of life. What was once a neglected space has been transformed into our shared dream of vibrant sanctuary that bridges our two worlds. Ready for this? Zoe asks, squeezing my hand. I take a deep breath, nodding, as I'll ever be today. Marks a new chapter in our lives. We're hosting a garden party, not just to showcase our hard work, but to officially come out to society as a couple. It's a bold move, one that would have terrified me a year ago, but now. I'm just excited. The greenhouse doors open and guests begin to filter in. I see a mix of familiar faces. Helen, beaming proudly. Margaret, looking slightly uncomfortable, but present even. Zoe's mother, her expression a mix of curiosity and lingering skepticism. But there are new faces, two friends we've made through our adventures, fellow competitors who've become cherished companions. As everyone settles and champagne flutes in hand, I clear my throat. Thank you all for coming. I begin, my voice steady. A year ago, I never would have imagined standing here like this. I was lost, trapped in a life that no longer fit. But then I turned to Zoe, my heart swelling. I met this incredible woman. She showed me how to live again, how to love again, and in the process we created this. I gesture to the greenhouse around us, a symbol of growth, of new beginnings. Zoe steps forward, her eyes shining. What Eloise isn't saying is that she's the real force of nature here. She took a leap of faith on herself, on us, and I fall more in love with her bravery, her kindness, her spirit. Every day there's a collective awe from the crowd, and I feel my cheeks flush, but I'm not embarrassed. I'm proud of how far we've come with life. We're building together as the party progresses. I'm struck by how seamlessly our two worlds have blended. Helen is deep in conversation with one of our rock climbing buddies, while Margaret seems to be getting begrudging gardening advice from Zoe's mother. It's not perfect. I catch a few raised eyebrows, hear a few whispered comments, but it's progress later as the sun begins to set, casting a golden glow over the greenhouse. Zoe pulls me aside. I have a surprise for you, she says, her eyes twinkling. With mischief, she leads me to a secluded corner of the garden where a small table has been set up. On it sits a velvet box and an envelope. Open the envelope first, Zoe urges with trembling fingers. I do. Inside is a brochure, sure for a women's extreme sports retreat in New Zealand. I don't understand, I say, looking up at Zoe in confusion. She grins. Well, I figured after conquering Raleigh, we might need a bigger challenge. How do you feel about spending 6 months down under teaching other women how to push their limits? I'm speechless. The old Eloise would have bet at the idea of leaving her comfortable life for so long. But now the prospect fills me with exhilaration. It's perfect, I breathe. But what about the greenhouse you're landscaping? Business, Zoe shrugs. Helen agreed to look after things here, and as for my business, well, she gestures to the party around us. I think we've proven we make a pretty good team. How do you feel about Bennett and Robinson? Extreme landscaping? I laugh. Joy bubbling up inside me. I think it sounds amazing. Good, Zoe says, her expression softening because there's one more thing. She picks up the velvet box, dropping to one knee. My breath catches in my throat. Zoe, she opens the box, revealing a simple but elegant ring. Eloise Bennett, you've made me happier than I ever thought possible. Will you marry me and then run away with me to New Zealand? Tears blur my vision as I nod frantically yes. I manage to choke out yes to both as Zoe slips the ring onto my finger and pulls me in for a kiss. Applause erupts around us. We break apart to find our guests gathered nearby, all wearing varying expressions of joy and surprise. Margaret is the first to approach, her eyes suspiciously damp while she says, her voice gruff with emotion, I suppose I'll have to find a new doubles partner for bridge. I laugh, pulling her into a hug, unsure. Helen would be happy to fill in as congratulations pour in from all sides. I'm struck by how far we've all come. A year ago, this scene would have been unimaginable. Now it feels like the most natural thing in the world. Later, as the party winds down and the last guests depart, Zoe and I stand in the doorway of the greenhouse, her arms wrapped around me from behind, so she murmurs, pressing a kiss to my neck. Any regrets I turn in her arms, meeting her gaze, only that it took me so long to find. You, she smiles, touching her forehead to mine. We have the rest of our lives to make up for lost time as we stand there surrounded by the life we've built together and on the cusp of a new adventure. I feel a sense of peace and excitement I never thought possible. The road ahead may be uncertain, filled with challenges and new experiences, but with Zoe by my side, I know we can handle anything. Max, our faithful golden retriever, pads over tail, wagging. I reach down to scratch his ears, marveling at how this journey all started with his escape on a stormy night. What do you say, boy? I asked him. Ready for a Kiwi adventure, his enthusiastic bark seems answer enough, laughing Zoe, and I lead him back into the house, our steps light with a promise of tomorrow as we close the door on this chapter of our lives. I can't help but feel that the best is yet to come. After all, every ending is just a new beginning in disguise.